With the fortress under relentless pressure and the defenders stretched to their limits, few expected an offensive move from inside the besieged stronghold. Yet in a bold and calculated gamble, John Hunyadi chose not to wait passively for the next crushing assault. Instead, he prepared a surprise river attack aimed directly at the Ottoman fleet, enforcing the blockade around Belgrade. For days, the Ottoman navy had maintained tight control over the surrounding waterways. Their ships patrolled the river, cutting off supplies and reinforcements while supporting land operations with strategic positioning. This naval presence formed a critical component of the siege, isolating the fortress and steadily tightening the encirclement. Hunyadi recognized that as long as the blockade held, the defenders would remain trapped and vulnerable. Supplies would continue to dwindle, and morale would suffer under the constant sense of isolation. Breaking the naval grip, even temporarily, offered a chance to shift the balance of the siege. Under strict secrecy, preparations for the river assault began inside the fortress. Available boats were gathered and reinforced. Crews were assembled from experienced soldiers and local sailors familiar with the currents and hazards of the river. Weapons were distributed, and plans were drawn with meticulous care. The success of the operation depended entirely on surprise and coordination. The chosen moment came before dawn, when darkness still cloaked the river. A heavy silence hung over the water as the assault force quietly moved into position. Oars dipped gently to minimize noise, and orders were whispered to maintain stealth. Every participant understood the risks. Failure would expose the fortress to even greater danger. As the first light of morning approached, the attack was launched. Hunyadi's flotilla surged forward with sudden speed, breaking the calm with the sound of splintering wood and shouted commands. The Ottoman ships, caught off guard by the unexpected offensive, scrambled to respond. The river quickly transformed into a chaotic battlefield. Vessels collided as crews fought for control in close quarters. Archers and gunners unleashed volleys at short range, while boarding parties leapt across decks to engage in fierce hand-to-hand combat. Smoke from gunfire drifted over the water, mixing with the shouts of commanders and the clash of weapons. Hunyadi directed the assault with urgency and precision. His objective was not merely to harass the enemy, but to disrupt the blockade decisively. Targeting key ships that anchored the Ottoman formation, his forces concentrated their attacks on critical points. Damaged vessels began to drift, creating gaps in the once solid naval line. The element of surprise proved decisive in the opening phase. Ottoman crews, unprepared for a direct assault from the besieged fortress, struggled to reorganize. Confusion spread as signals were misread and commands overlapped. This hesitation allowed Hunyadi's forces to press their advantage. Fighting on the river was intense and unforgiving. Narrow decks offered little room to maneuver, and the constant motion of the water added to the danger. Soldiers grappled at arm's length, pushing and striking in desperate attempts to gain control of enemy ships. Some vessels caught fire, their flames reflecting across the surface of the river. As the engagement continued, the balance began to shift. Several Ottoman ships were disabled or forced to withdraw, weakening the blockade. The defenders exploited every opening, driving wedges into the enemy formation and widening the disruption. Observers from the fortress walls watched as the river battle unfolded. What had begun as a daring gamble was evolving into a significant breakthrough. The sight of their comrades taking the fight to the enemy inspired renewed hope among the garrison. Eventually, the Ottoman fleet began to pull back to regroup, conceding control of key stretches of the waterway. Though not a complete destruction of the blockade, the attack had achieved its primary objective. The siege lines were shaken, and the defenders had demonstrated their capacity to strike unexpectedly. The aftermath of the river assault carried strategic and psychological consequences. By challenging the blockade, Hunyadi disrupted the sense of inevitability that had surrounded the siege. His bold actions signaled that the fortress was not merely enduring the attack, but actively contesting it. Inside the stronghold, the success of the operation boosted morale. Soldiers returned from the river battered but energized, their achievement reinforcing confidence in their leadership. Supplies and communication routes, even if only partially restored, offered a vital lifeline. For the Ottoman forces, the surprise attack served as a warning. The defenders were capable of coordinated offensives that could threaten even well-established positions. The siege would no longer proceed uncontested. Hunyadi's unexpected gamble transformed the dynamics of the conflict. By seizing the initiative and striking at the heart of the blockade, he altered the tempo of the siege. The river attack stood as a powerful reminder that in warfare, bold decisions can reshape even the most desperate situations.